Thanks for joining us. We begin on a sad note because the people of Ho in the Volta region woke up to another murder involving lovers on Tuesday. Jay Dodoy was reported to have allegedly murdered his girlfriend for unknown reasons. He later attempted to take his own life by hanging himself twice, slitting his throat and stabbing his own stomach. He's being treated at the Volta Regional Hospital after he was arrested by the Ho Municipal Police Command.
Oh, sister, you le watermelon to mon jiro. Oh, Jenoya. Oh, mommy, makonyon modis. Sako, sister, kwere chebe je jore yoma. Tayui le mon me kula me kolo. Ni se kona magnifique. Gete le tutu. Mais force pété, m'attend pour gete. A mon weke. A gele to wa for park ni. No mu gete wa for park ni. Kuya ni me control ta bora kota ta. Kuya ni me ju me do comme non ko. Elle voulait comme assis pour nous comme ça. Non mais ah, faut me ça. Non non que va yom de non moi que les assis pour nous dans le pas ça. Pas. Là on faut plus. Sister, pour la prime. Ya te faut combien de mi va il moto. Amérique va il bio. Et toi les quoi comme ko kandu a me to kandu ko pa. Ojo, le komi parti, on va trouver le monde le plus. T'as mis pas de cas pour vivre mais 20. Pour la cité de Fundi, aux Ogomiens pour la cité de Fundi. Le
Fred Kwame Asari joins us with more. Fred, first of all, tell us what this woman has been telling you.
So briefly, what she mentioned is that at about 12 a.m. earlier today, some 3 ladies came to the house looking for the door to the house of the deceased, the mother of the deceased. They included the mother of the guy who allegedly killed the girlfriend, his junior sister, sorry, and then another lady. So they directed them to the premises or the door that leads to where the mother of the deceased lives. She sells melon at the whole central market. So they attempted opening the door to get access to the premises, but they couldn't. So she said that she only told them that is where the lady lives and left. However, after some few minutes, she heard screams from that side of the building. But then she didn't rush there immediately, but called the husband. The husband is the landlord of the premises. So she called the landlord, and then they moved to where they heard the screams. And then they saw that the 3 ladies who earlier came looking for the premises dashed out of the house and then went to the roadside and then picked a tricycle and then immediately left. So after that time, they didn't know what actually happened because they did not have access to where the lady lives. So they saw 2 guys walking towards them, and then they were pressing their phones. And one of the guys was narrating the incident to the other fellow. She didn't even hear it at the first instance. It was her daughter that heard them discussing the murder incident, and then told her that was what the guys were discussing, that somebody killed somebody in their house. So she used the other access to the place, and then that was when she realized that the girl, or she saw the lady, Kafi, she's called Kafi, about 25 years old. She saw her lying in a pool of blood, and then she screamed. But then later, the ladies came back with police to pick the corpse to the mortuary. But then the guy also suffered some wounds. Apparently, he tried killing himself, slitting his throat. So there are some wounds on his throat or neck, and then he also attempted cutting his stomach. So they said that they saw some of his intestines out, and then there were also some marks on his neck. He also attempted to hang himself. He tried with a ceiling fan in the living room. He didn't succeed. It fell off the ceiling. He tried with that in the bedroom as well. It didn't succeed. It also fell off. So he was also rushed to the whole teaching hospital where he's currently receiving treatment. I'm told he's at a theater where they are working on him to ensure that he survives and then perhaps narrates what actually happened. But then to add to that, the guy I'm told is a footballer. On Sunday,
right.
he plays with Stallion FC. That's what I'm told. On Sunday, they had a match where he's a good footballer, but on that particular day, he was kind of there was some kind of anger in him. The way he previously played, he didn't actually play like that. He was playing hard. Let me just put it out. He was playing hard to the extent that during the first half, he was yellow carded, and then the second half, he was yellow carded again, and then given red card. So you realize that from that moment, he was angry. He was not happy. To add to it, the guy and the girl have been dating for about 6 years. I'm told they started at JHS2. So they usually go to church together. But then on Sunday, they didn't go to church together. The guy went ahead of the girl. They all came separately. So the church members were even asking why they didn't come to church together on that particular Sunday. And then before this morning, we were hearing of this.
Do we know when the girl died?
Well, we can't actually tell, but then from what the landlady narrated to me, when she saw the blood at about 12 midnight, it doesn't really look fresh. So perhaps the incident happened about 2 or 3 hours ago before they got to know what actually happened. So nobody was there to confirm that it was this time that the incident happened or it was at this time. But then they got to know about the incident at about 12 midnight. But when looking at the blood, it doesn't really look fresh. So to her, she thinks maybe the incident happened earlier.
Right. Fred Kwame Asari, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon with those sad news. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abu-Jinapor, says syndicates involved in the smuggling of undocumented gold through the country's borders should be dealt with. According to him, the alleged officials should face the full rigors of the law for engaging in such alleged illegalities. His comment follows a Joy News expose uncovering how security operatives and politically connected individuals have been aiding a gold smuggling syndicate, illegally exporting gold through the country's air and sea ports. In the latest Hotline documentary, Busted Gold Smugglers, the Joy News investigative team revealed how gold is tucked under traditional woven slippers and smuggled out of the country.
Conduct investigations. We're going to get a criminal investigation department to conduct investigations into this matter. The smuggling of gold is an illegality, it's a criminal act. So if you have a syndicate which smuggles gold, it's purely a criminal act, and the criminal investigation department will have to find a way of investigating this report. As well also that the Precious Minerals Marketing Company and the Minerals Commission itself have tasked them to come up with reforms and come up with strategies to ensure that we have a regime in Ghana which will make it difficult or even impossible for people to smuggle our gold out of our country. But clearly we will conduct the investigations, and then we'll strengthen the institutional framework of the Minerals Commission and the PMMC to ensure that we're able to put the mechanism to forestall the smuggling of gold out of our country.
The officials not involved, you think they should be dealt with, or more involved in?
Anybody who is involved in criminality should be dealt with. Anybody who is involved in illegality should be dealt with. But there must be investigation first to ascertain whether somebody is involved in illegality or somebody is involved in criminality.
Now, Busted airs again tonight on the Joy News channel at the times displayed. Let's move from that story. An educationist and member of the GES Council, Anis Hafa, is advising the parents of the 2 students who were denied admission to Achimota School to desist from going to court. Mr. Hafa, who is founder of the Gates Foundation, said parents must support education institutions to raise their quality and not attack them. He believes the school is well within its rights to refuse admission to the students, but also that there exists an avenue to dialogue with authorities for an amicable solution to be found.
The other thing I got disappointed is where people were thinking about suing schools and that sort of thing. That's already, secondary school is free. You don't have to pay for water. You don't have to pay for electricity. You don't have to pay for food. You're going to sue again? We have to be practical. What I tell parents is this. This is the time, especially in Ghana, where all hands have to be on deck, that anybody who has a child in any school has to be seen visibly helping that school to succeed. You know, we tend to kick back. and point figures at certain things that are not being done and so on. But what is your contribution? We have to begin to look at it like that. I don't care if other countries are not doing that. That is their business. But for us today, every parent has to have a shared responsibility and making sure that the schools their kids are in, that those schools are successful.
Now, I've enjoyed news today with me, Daniel Dazen. Now, a pressure group affiliated to the opposition NDC, Cadres for Accountable Leadership, has issued a 14-day ultimatum to the party's leadership to produce collated figures or pink sheets of the 2020 December polls. The group says leadership must be made to account to the grassroots of the party. Now, one of the leaders speaking to Joy News observed that they would be embarking on a series of protests until their demands are heard. He also asked the party to render an unqualified apology to the Electoral Commission.
We are an amalgam of the AFRC, the PNDC, and the NDC. So we are an associated lot. And I've also underlined that we are dotted across the country, in every ward, and most of our members are frontline executives of the NDC today. And some of them are here, some of them are branch executives, some of them are from the wards. The party is dear to our hearts. So if people are saying they don't know us, that will be their own case. Some of them, as I'm talking to you, some of them are monitoring, and they know that Livingston Pechali, who is the convener of the Cadres Accountability, is here. So they cannot claim to know, you don't know us. I have worked for this party tirelessly. Likewise, my colleagues. People have died in the elections to sacrifice for this party. So we are an amalgamated group, and we are going to advocate for our members. Another question sought to ask whether we are going to ask our party leadership to apologize for lambasting the EC for the failure to produce the pink sheets. You see, anytime you are put in the leadership position, there is a responsibility for you to discharge. So I cannot sit here and speak for the leadership of the NDC. Okay? We have dispatched a letter for them asking them to produce the pink sheets or the collated results within 14 days. Our comrades ought to know this. If they don't do that, the onus lies on them to take up the honorary thing by apologizing. The onus lies on them. For them, if they don't know no shame, then they keep quiet. But if they know what is shame, they should own up. All of us make mistakes. We are all human beings. They should open up and do it.
Now, Parker Wilson joins us with more. Parker, I see from pictures of this demonstration that there are messages directed towards the former President Mahama. Did they explain why?
Yeah, even though the placard, as you've seen, have some inscription which is against the former president or the NDC flag in the 2020 election, the explanation is that they are not in to attack John Mahama. All they know is that it appears the former president has hijacked the party. Now, they cited a contributory report in 2016 after the party lost the election that in spite of the completion of work by the contributory committee, they are yet to appreciate what is contained in that report. And so their suspicion is that the former president who was indicted in that report has asked the leadership of the party not to publish that report. And they don't want that to be done in this year's election. And that is why they are demanding that as early, in fact, the ultimatum starts from tomorrow. So they are asking them to quickly make available the collation figures for this year's for the 2020 election. So that has been the explanation for the leader of the group.
Right, Parker, if you can hear me, is there any indication that perhaps they do not trust their current leadership of the NDC had the pink sheets?
Well, that's their suspicion, that they don't think that the current leadership during the 2020 election were able to compile or collate the figures. And that is why when Mr. KEJETIA was in court, he was unable to produce the figures. And of course, the NDC also didn't produce the pink sheet to back their claim or the election petition. So that is their suspicion. So they are asking that if that is not done, then you've embarrassed the NDC, you've led the country on a path that really didn't help any individual, because you accused the EC of rigging the election on behalf of the president, and yet you were unable to compile your own figures or produce the pink sheet. So you didn't do a good job during the election, and that is, they are asking the NDC leadership to even render an unqualified apology to the chairperson of the Electoral Commission for putting her through that ordeal.
Now, finally, Parker, you, of course, are our parliamentary correspondent, and the House must be very busy this week. What is expected on the floor?
Well, it is an interesting morning, Daniel. In fact, the Speaker of Parliament and the Majority Leader currently, as I speak to you, just before I walked out of the chamber, were in a heated argument over the admission of the petition by Prince Kofi Amwabin, the CEO of defunct UT Bank. Now, James Bonsu is arguing that the Speaker shouldn't have admitted that petition because the matter, as we speak, is currently before the court. And the Speaker challenged him to put an order in the standing orders. And Parliament operates with the standing orders. He challenged him to cite any of the standing orders which bars the Speaker from admitting such a petition. Well, he couldn't do that. But the argument he made was that if years are going forward, the House will be inundated with all kinds of petitions, because everyone might think that when they send a petition to the House will admit it and refer it to a committee. So that debate went on for a while, and finally the Speaker directed that, a seven-member committee and a ad hoc committee should quickly go into the petition, look at it, and submit their report to the plenary. Now, when they submit their report to the plenary, that is when the concerns of Mr. James Bonsu comes in, whether Parliament as a whole will now have the opportunity to debate the report or not. But let them wait for the committee to finish its work. When they are done, then they will know the way forward. But for the admission of the petition, the Speaker did not err.
Right. Christy Parker Wilson, thank you very much for joining us from Parliament and giving us that update on that demonstration. We move to other stories, and the Pokwase interchange may be a solution to the perennial traffic congestion on the Accra-Kumasi highway. But it has worsened the water situation for thousands of people who live in the area. The construction has limited the flow of the Sunkwa River, a water source that has for years supplied fresh water for many in that area, hardly hit by Accra's poor water supply system. In this week's series for Joy News Water Project, marking International Water Day today, Justice Beidou filed this report.
The Pokwase interchange is West Africa's first three-tier interchange, a multi-million-dollar mega project that is expected to open up this part of Accra that have for years suffered messy traffic congestion. In its shadows lie the forest. It is from here that the Sunkwa River finds its source.
This interchange has come to help Ghana and Pokwase, but it has caused the community not getting water.
The Sunkwa River is connected to Pokwase, its culture and its history in many, many ways. For years, it was the only source of drinking water for the village of Pokwase, as it then was. It has continued to be the source of water for many, many uses, for the thousands of people who have moved out of Accra itself into new neighborhoods like this one.
The Chinese company building the interchange has created a narrow gutter for the river. People who live here say that hasn't helped. The river's course of flow has been reduced in size, at least 3 times its original size. It has changed in color and taste since then.
The people depend on Sunkwa River. And now that they've constructed this interchange, the water has been polluted. So pipe-borne water now has become a problem.
This facility, once upon a time, was the main source of pipe-borne water for Pokwase, taking its source from the Sunkwa. For 2 years, it's been under lock and key, and the pipes that connect it to the river have been cut.
People go around looking for water. Water is life.
The impact of this is biting hard, and the people feeling the pinch are Pokuase's most vulnerable.
Sometimes when private water sellers do not sell to us, we do not get water. We have to buy expensive water from tankers, and if you don't have money, like me, then you can't have water.
The Sunkwa forest is a stark reminder of the state of many water sources threatened by human development. In Pokuase, thousands of people are paying the price for the destruction it has suffered, and this may well get worse in the future. Justice Bedu, Joy News, Pokuase.
Now, it was constructed over 700 years ago and remains one of the oldest mosques in Ghana. The Nakori ancient mosque was built by Karima Dauda to enable him perform prayers with his family. Would-be Hajj pilgrims in the olden days would usually visit the mosque to pray for God's permission to undertake the holy journey to Mecca. In our Ghana Month series, Joy News' Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam reports that despite the beautiful Sudanese-inspired architecture, the National Monument is fast deteriorating and needs to be saved from collapsing.
Built at the heart of the Nakori community and overlooks the Nakori Dam is the Nakori ancient mosque. It is one of the oldest mosques in Ghana and constructed over 700 years ago, according to oral history, which we are unable to independently verify.
Currently, we are on top of the Nakori ancient mosque. It is a Sudanese architecture built with mud bricks and sticks. It was built in the 14th century, precisely in 1308. And it was built under the instruction of Karima Dauda, who was a royal.
During the days of yore, Muslims who wish to perform the Muslim pilgrimage to Mecca first has to come to this community called Nakori, visit this mosque and perform 2 rakat prayers.
As you can see, there is a big tree down here, down there. It's our grandfather's son. He dead, and they bury him there. 7 days, and that tree germinated there. So that in the old time, when they want to go to Mecca for pilgrimage, they will come to this mosque, pray 2 rakah, go there, in our tradition, ask for permission, because they are the first people to go to Mecca and come back.
As part of the Ghana Man series, I took a tour of the monument that the people in this part of the earth has reverence for. I was joined by 2-time national best tour guide Aziz Pelpo and caretaker of the Asian mosque, Yakubu Tayui Parasagana. The ancient Nakori mosque was constructed using teak and rosewood that supports the flat roof, which is of mud construction. The teak and rosewood were reinforced to protrude externally and were used as scaffolding during plastering and construction. It has 2 towers that stand taller than the buttresses. One of these towers faces east and contains a small prayer room. Aziz Pelbo told me that Karima Dauda moved from Wa to Nakori to put up the mosque upon advice from his father, who was then the chief of Wa.
And at the time, somewhere around the 14th century, Islam was not dominant in this part of the country. In fact, Islam was not acceptable. So practicing Islam within this community, you were considered a kind of an outcast. So his father being the paramount chief at the time, having his son, who quote and unquote was an outcast, he advised the son that instead of worshipping your God here and distracting us, why don't you move to the King's Forest, as translated in the local language. Move to the King's Forest, settle there with your family, and then you can freely practice your religion there. So this Karima Dauda moved with his 2 wives and their 4 children to this particular community now known as Nakori.
Do you have
You're live on Joy News today with me, Daniel Daze. Welcome back from WA. And in business, Registrar General issues final warning on donation of dormant firms in its register of companies with more than 300,000 businesses at the risk of being dissolved. Darryl Kwao has those details after this.
Hi there, good afternoon. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. More than 300,000 businesses risk losing their status as legally registered to operate in Ghana. That's if they fail to update their data with the Registrar General's Department by June this year. The Registrar General has issued a final warning to the dormant firms that have failed to comply with the requirements for registered firms in the country. Registrar General Jemima Owari explained to Joy Business why this exercise is very important.
In 1963 to now, many businesses in Ghana, and I'm talking about big businesses in Ghana, have not bothered to do this re-registration. So what they are telling me is they've not also filed annual returns. And under the laws, I can go ahead and dissolve you. And that's what I want to do now. I want to kickstart that process of dissolving and taking dormant companies off my register. So if you know you are not dormant, if you know you are seriously doing business in Ghana, then please come and inform me whether you are still operating in Ghana by filing your annual return and your financial statement. If for any reason you haven't even done business since 1963 to date, no problem. We file what we call a nil return because the historical database is about 700,000. Less than 10% have done the re-register. In law, if I finally dissolve you and strike your name off the register, you cannot carry on business in Ghana again until 12 years. But I cannot just dissolve a company name just like that. Do what you have to do.
And this afternoon, we continue to follow for you developments with the KEJETIA Redevelopment Project. We're hearing that about 10 trade unions have dissociated themselves from the court injunction being pursued by a number of the traders at the Kumasi Central Market to halt the redevelopment project. Now, Kofi Asare has been interacting with these unions and has filed this report.
Kumasi Central Market last Friday went to the Human Rights Court praying for an injunction to restrict the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly from demolition about 1,500 lockable shops occupied by the applicants. They are also praying to court to force KMA to properly document their relocation to avoid future implications. But some trade unions are unhappy with the move by their colleagues.
We wish to set the record straight.
They believe the act will impede the progress of the Kumasi redevelopment project. Leader of the 10 unions, Moses Che, spoke to Love News.
For just some few people, whatever reasons, to wake up in the day, to go and secure an injunction depriving the assembly and the country as a whole not to proceed with this project is something that is unheard of. In fact, we must think about the entirety or the bulk traders that are in the central market. So this morning, the purposes and the reason that we held this press conference is to first disassociate ourselves with the 10 groups that were part of the central market trade union, and also to let all Ghanaians and the world at large understand that we are in for the progress of our people.
Some traders who are yet to access space to restart their trade say they will not support the court action.
The KMA should give us an official statement showing where they will move us to.
We are deliberating on the issue as a union, and KMA has given us a place to trade. We are yet to consider whether to accept the place or not, and you said you are taking the matter to court. We can't take KMA to court because we also like the construction of the new market.
Kofi Asare's report read to you.
That's business for now. We've got a full bulletin coming up at the top of the hour, including how the business community is reacting to the 14.5 policy rate that has remained unchanged by the Monetary Policy Committee. That's coming up at 1 o'clock. There's more news after this break.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the sports segment with me, Oric Wampofo, where we do start off with a national assignment, and that has to do with Black Stars coach CK Akono, and he says he anticipates a difficult task against the Bafana later this week. Now, despite the difficulty expected, he is confident of a good performance without the core members of the playing body, including skipper Andrea Yu.
The senior national team, the Black Stars, held their final training session ahead of their trip to South Africa to face Bafana on March Day 5 of the 2022 African Cup of Nations qualifiers. Head coach of the team, CK Akono, will be without the services of influential players such as the Ayew brothers, Thomas Partey, and many others. However, he insists he prepared his team, knowing very well that they will not be available for the encounter slated for later this week.
At least today, we were sure of the squad. Everybody, has come, and so we prepared very well, adequately, knowing that the match ahead of us, a tough one, but we're very, very hopeful. Well, we were aware from the beginning, say, a bad day, one. Whether we will be able to get them, we don't know, but we were aware that the possibility is there. We will not go with them, and so we prepared ourselves without them. Should they come in, it will be fantastic, but we are without them, and we've done so well in that area. We've worked, and so we don't have much of worries.
About 10 home-based players will be making the trip to South Africa for the qualifier. Akono says he is willing to give players who ply their trade domestically the opportunity of playing for the national team.
I said from the beginning that I'm going to give the locals a chance, or the home-based players. Local is too much of home-based players, and I think it's clear. I think for a long time now, we've not had this amount of numbers, and so I'm very, very happy that we've been able to achieve that. Not just me, because the boys have also shown their qualities, and we've given them a fair chance.
The Black Stars could book a ticket to next year's AFCON should they secure a win come Thursday.
Good afternoon, welcome to Showbiz here on Joy News today. Chelsea Tayui, reigning Miss Universe Ghana, has described her journey as a blessing. Speaking to Joy Prime's KMJ, the beauty queen takes us through her journey.
It has been a very interesting journey. You know, I've just been so blessed to do so many different things with this crown, and just to impact a lot of different lives that probably have been ignored in the past. And I always say that I want to be a voice for the voiceless, because that ultimately is how you make change in the universe.
And how's the beginning been for you? Has it been smooth, or the challenges are just too much?
You know, it's definitely had its ups and downs, like everything in life, right? But overall, it's been a blessing in and of itself. So it's been great for the most part.
Now, dancehall artist episode has revealed awards has added value to his career, contrary to what a section of the public thinks of award schemes. Episode says awards help in building and encouraging creatives to do more.
An artist, you know, having the award scheme recognize your work alone is a plus, you know, because here, where we come from, you would have international platforms look at the local lineups to also get approved. Now, it's just here that we don't really appreciate some of these things, but when you travel around the world, example, they say a BET nominee, not even a winner, a nominee, you know, so that alone builds a good CV for you as an artist, and it opens you to a different audience. So, yeah, just like you say, Grammy award-winning artist, Grammy nominee, VGMA nominee, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's good, it's good. And then also, me personally, it puts me on the edge to actually double up the work every year.
On that note, we end Showbiz here on Joy News today. My name is Becky.